Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the ancient practice of fasting. But we're not talking about mere deprivation here. No, we're looking at it as a highly advanced bio-spiritual technology. It's honestly so much more than just skipping a few meals. We're going to look at the mechanics of this practice through a completely different lens today, literally breaking down the exact architecture of how it transforms the human system from the inside out. Let's get right into it.
So ask yourself, is fasting just about starvation, or is it an advanced protocol to reboot your bio-spiritual architecture? To understand the true power of Sawm, the Arabic term for fasting, we really have to look past the surface-level hunger. We need to ask what's actually happening to our internal operating system. When we stop looking at it as just some grueling test of endurance, we uncover this profound methodology designed to perfectly tune our dual nature.
Here's the system diagnostics menu for today's explainer. We'll cover the human operating system, the overgrown nafs, fasting as the reset protocol, guarding the vessel, restoring spatial equilibrium, and finally, the fruit of Toskia.
All right, starting off with Section 1, the human operating system. Okay, let's dive right in. To understand our architecture, we really have to look at our baseline source code, which is defined by the Barzakh theory of dual consciousness. I mean, you can't fix a machine if you don't know how it's built, right? Basically, we're composed of two completely distinct intelligent systems that have to interact: the biological hardware of the nafs and the spiritual software of the ruh. The nafs represents our physical awareness. It's tied to our brain and our biological organs, and it drives our skills, our basic impulses, and our worldly desires. But on the other side, we have the ruh, the spiritual pole. This is the source of our profound intellect, our direction, discernment, and our deep inner experience.
Now, the fascinating interface where the nafs and the ruh actually meet is the heart, or the qalb. Together, they form what our sources call a barzakh, an intermediary state of full consciousness. Think of it like this: these two energy fields form a really delicate equation, constantly exchanging sovereignty across time in a shared space. And ideally, they are meant to be in perfect balance.
Which brings us to Section 2, the overgrown nafs.
So what happens to this inner architecture when the system defaults to endless biological consumption? We live in a world that literally constantly feeds the body. By constantly indulging our biological impulses, whether that's through food, endless scrolling, entertainment, or just pure consumerism, the nafs expands aggressively. And this isn't just a metaphor, guys. Think of it as a literal spatial dynamic. The overgrown nafs pushes the spirit into a tiny corner, creating this massive, heavy, localized glitch in our consciousness. The biological noise just becomes so loud that the subtle, quieter frequencies of the spirit are completely drowned out.
You can see it clearly here. Under this massive weight of biological overload, the spiritual sanctuary becomes entirely encapsulated. Look at how that heavy physical layer just dominates and traps the core within it. The result? Total intellectual numbness and spiritual static. We become heavy, lethargic, and entirely bound by material reality, completely losing touch with our higher purpose.
That leads us to Section 3, Fasting, the Reset Protocol.
To clear this static and fix the glitch, we absolutely have to initialize a specific reset protocol, known as Sawm. It is time to interrupt the constant biological feed. The classical text Mukhtasar al-Salsabil defines this practice perfectly. It states, fasting is the purification of the body, cleansing of the spirit, and purification of the nafs. So you see, it's a multi-layered mechanism designed to cleanse the entire system all at once. It's not about punishing the body at all. It's about actively restoring health to the entire bio-spiritual spectrum.
Moving to Section 4, guarding the vessel.
Now, before you can just run this reset, you have to meet the system requirements and understand the primary mechanical objective of the fast. The protocol requires a baseline of biological maturity, so puberty, and a sound intellect or reason to actually execute it. But honestly, equally important are the built-in exceptions designed specifically to prevent physical system failure. Things like illness, travel, and old age will pause or modify the protocol, and that really prove the point. The goal is absolutely not to destroy the body, but to safely regulate it.
The foundational objective outlined in the jurisprudence is called hifz al-jof, or guarding the vessel. The core mechanism here is just beautifully simple. By strictly guarding the anatomical vessel from inputs, literally blocking food and water from dawn to dusk, we effectively starve that overgrown nafs of its fuel. We're cutting off the supply line to those constant biological desires.
Let's look at Section 5, Restoring Spatial Equilibrium.
This is honestly the most fascinating part of this explainer. What exactly happens when the nafs is starved of its daily fuel?
Well, a profound spatial shift takes place inside your consciousness. As those physical impulses are starved, the geometric aura of the nafs actually shrinks. It loses its overwhelming dominance. And because nature abhors a vacuum, the ruh, the spirit, naturally expands right back into its rightful territory. It's finally given the space to breathe and operate the way it was designed to.
So here's the crucial takeaway. Hunger is not the goal. Not at all. It is merely the mechanism used to restore a perfect 50-50 spatial equilibrium between your body and spirit. You are literally exchanging heavy biological mud for ethereal lightness. And when the nafs and the ruh are in this balanced state, the system achieves perfect barzakh alignment. You're no longer just a biological machine, and you're not an untethered spirit either. You are a perfectly tuned human being.
And finally, Section 6, the fruit of tazkiyah. Once this 50-50 equilibrium is reached, your operating system enters its ultimate optimized state, tazkiyah, which means purification. This is exactly where the real benefits of the protocol unlock. According to Mukhtasar al-Salsabel and our core sources, this purification actively clears out the wasar al-sadar. What does that mean? It translates to the lingering spiritual static, the inner whispers, and that heavy dragging burden that corrupts our perception and just sits there in the chest. Fasting acts as a direct scrubber for this static. It wipes the slate clean.
So, with all that biological noise silenced and the spirit finally expanded, the intellect becomes razor sharp. You enter the state of profound lightness. And this is exactly why fasting is so deeply paired with revelation in the Islamic tradition. The system is now perfectly primed for deep, focused Quranic contemplation. You can finally process the highest frequencies of divine truth, purely because the heavy static of the nafs is gone.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. Achieving this brilliant balance through the reset protocol is one thing, but what happens when the sun sets and the fast is over? Guarding this precise 50-50 spatial equilibrium in a world built on constant, endless consumption, well, that is the true test of your operating system. So, how will you protect your inner architecture today?